Okay, I hope that we're going. Hello and welcome to the Granny Handicap live stream. Do you ever feel like you live on an alien planet? Well, there's my little intro. Okay, let's talk about, okay, other things. So, I feel like that a lot. Anyway, that's why I write science fiction, and I am going to go over here, and I'm hoping that this is showing. Why is my thing there instead? Oh, I thought I had this figured out. It's supposed to be showing you my screen, and it's not. Well, I learned something last live stream that it's better to just not even, um, let me remove this. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. It looks like I've got it. All right. I am trying to learn how to do the Snowflake Method. So hopefully I'm sharing my screen and you're seeing this. So, the importance of design. Good fiction just doesn't happen, it's designed. So you start with the rough, and then you go to that, and then you go to that, and then you go to that. And I think this is wonderful. So this article is here, and I will give you the link to it. So we're going to talk about writing today. Sign into chat. Well, all right. Let me get on YouTube and where to find out about the Snowflake Method to write or edit your story. Okay, so I've got that. And now I should be live in the chat here. Good. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so here's the control room, and I'm going to go back over here. And so I am doing this. I am going through my book, 80th Scientist, and I am detailing stuff. So I am on step 3. I am making one paragraph summaries of my characters' storylines. So, I didn't want to do the whole live stream on this, but this is something I'm working on. I am also in Scrivener, and as you can see, I've done Adia and I've done Riona E today. So I'm going to go through. I have a lot of things I've downloaded from various sites, but the main part of my project is the Now What. Oh, there's my done list, which I need to bring. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. But the Now What Revision Resource Guide. This is a lovely thing that I've been going through. Did I ever put what my live stream was about. Whoops. I thought I was ready. Okay, I was going to edit the little blurb. I'll do that when I put the video up later. So today we're talking about writing. Now, I'm all about mental health and disabilities and all that good stuff. So, have you ever thought about how writing could help your mental health? It's really cathartic, which means it helps. It helps. That's how I stay sane, is writing. Because if I'm upset about something, I can just open up my word processor and go into another world.
Juice.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me to mix it with cranberry juice or no?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much cranberry juice do you want me to put in there?
Oh, put it so it's half full.
Like there?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. My lovely daughter bringing me something to drink because I'm always thirsty. Okay, so writing can help your mental health. It can also help your general writing skills. Doing writing helps your skills. So, say you have to write something at work, you have to give a presentation or something. Your fiction writing or your nonfiction writing, wherever your heart is, that's what you should write. But it doesn't really matter what you write. What matters is that you sit down for at least 15 minutes a day and just write. The more you write, the better you will get at it. The other thing about writing is you don't need to edit yourself to death. Oh, that's nice. Cranberry juice and aloe juice, which I must drink every day. Aloe juice keeps my stomach from going haywire. Anyway, so writing is a wonderful thing, and if you haven't discovered the joy of writing, maybe you just haven't done enough of it. It's different when you're in school and your teacher gives you an assignment. Oh, you've got to write a 500-word essay. I never liked those in school, and I was writing since I was 11. So, you know, it is one of those things that you have to develop a taste for it. If you totally never enjoyed writing in school, that doesn't mean you might not enjoy writing whatever you want to write about. Do you ever daydream about situations, what if so and so, or what if such and such? What if a tornado came? What would I do? You can take those real life kind of what if imaginings and you can say, all right, I've got a character. I really recommend that you don't write about you. If you're writing a journal, write about you. If you're writing for your mental health, don't write about you. Because if you play the what if game and you write yourself into that, you'll just create a whole bunch of stress. And you might end up actually playing out some of that when you're talking to your friends or whatever. You don't want to go there. I used to have problems with that. So it's better to create a character. They can have some of your traits, but make them a bunch of people in one person. That way you're not writing about your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your best friend. You don't want to write about people you know. You want to make up somebody who's a stranger, but you'll get to know them through developing the character. And that character is your vehicle to take off and go to a whole nother place. and it's engrossing. You know, people wonder about gamers, how in the world you can get into the persona of this cartoony looking character that doesn't really look like anybody you've ever seen. You might make your character look like you, but it doesn't look like you, not at all. And people wonder, how in the world can you get engrossed in this world that somebody else has built and get lost in it to the point that you aren't aware of time passing? You know, you've been on your game and 5 hours later, your mother comes and says, "Where have you been?" What is it about that that engrosses you? So, you know, you can get engrossed in those video games because it sets your imagination on fire. It really takes you to a different place, a different mindset, a different set of problems. And even though you are actively doing quests, you are going places, you are finding whatever the object of the quest is, you may be killing some things, you may be rescuing cute little animals, you may be, you know, whatever the quest is having you do. So usually somebody asks you for help, and that's the quest. And so they'll say, "Well, I'm old and I need help gathering my chickens." So you go out and gather 10 chickens, and then you're done with the quest and you get a reward. She's grateful. "Oh, thank you. Here, take this belt that belonged to my poor deceased husband." You know, whatever. So you get a reward for doing the quest. So you go and do another quest, and you get XP for this, usually, which is player experience, XP for short, and you level up. So if you gather so much experience, you fill up your little bar or whatever the symbol is, then boom, you're level 2. And you can maybe do more things. You might gain more abilities, or you know, there's a level up system. So gaming is a lot like writing, except you are in total control of where you go, what you do while you're there, and what your character does, and how your character either learns to be a better person or a better villain. You're in total control there. So gaming is more of a you step into a place that's already formed for you. You may have some choices in there and you can get creative with that. But writing is so cool. I get very excited about writing, and I encourage you that if you have any interest in creating a world of your own and going there, try writing. You know, it's not like the things you did in school that you hated every minute of it. You know, I would do those 5-page essays. They had to be double spaced, 200 words per page. And I would invariably, I was allowed 3 errors. This was on a typewriter. I had a Brother typewriter. It was like key punch. That thing was heavy, and it was really hard for me with my arthritic fingers because I've always been arthritic. Even as a kid, I couldn't keep up with my peers in school, so writing was a big outlet for me for all of my frustrations with my physical limitations of my body. Um, but I would do those essays and have to, you know, unlimited 3 errors a page. I'd make the fourth error, rip the page out, have to retype it again. I'd be so careful, and maybe I would do that same page 5 times before I finally got just 3 errors. I hated every minute of it. And I couldn't afford to have somebody type it for me. So, you know, there was that. I loved the research, though. I really loved being able to find things to back up my arguments, and I really loved looking things up in books. I always have. Except when I was 7 and I would ask Dad, "Hey Dad, how do you spell indubitably?" And he would say, "There's a dictionary over on the shelf. Go get it." And I'm like, "Arr!" But I did learn how to look up things and how to find things in books to either add to my world in science fiction or just plain curious. Want to know, what makes a light bulb go? What makes a car crank? So there's all these wonderful children's books that explain how things work and how science works. And I used to get stacks of them at the library every week. My sister would take me because my mother loved libraries, but she was sick a lot. So a lot of the times it was my sister taking me to those places. And it was really neat because I enjoyed going places with my sister and I enjoyed going to the library most of all. It was a real treat. My younger daughter is addicted to libraries too, and we used to go to the library a lot when she was growing up. And I worked in libraries later in my adult life, so I would take her with me sometimes when they allowed that. They got to where they didn't. But, um, that Girls Incorporated has had that take your child to work day. And I got to take Maggie with me to my job at University of Utah Library and let her see what Mama did all day at work. It was fun. And everybody enjoyed her being there. She didn't get into things. She was very well behaved. And it was very, very pleasant. So, writing is a good outlet for your emotions. Everybody has the frustrations of everyday life. You go to get a glass of milk and the milk is spoiled, or go out in the yard and you step in something that shouldn't be there, or or it starts to rain and maybe you get in a puddle or get splashed, or just you don't like rain falling on you and why me? Everybody has those moments of frustration. Why not come home, open up a page in your word processor, and just write that incident down, but from somebody else's point of view? Um, in other words, if you're writing first person, that's like, I went so and so and did so and so, then you might create a character and have that character be waiting for the bus, and the bus comes and splashes muddy water all over her from a puddle in the street, you know, or something like that. And you can just write about the frustration she feels and how icky she feels, and put yourself in that character's shoes. How does she feel? What physical sensations does she feel? The cold water hitting her skin and making her shiver, or the embarrassment of being dripping wet going to work and maybe slipping on the floor and people are noticing, and she wants to sink into the floor, or the sight of the shine on everything that rain puts, the smell of rain, the feel of it on your skin, the maybe even the taste if you're eating something and it's raining. Um, so, and the sounds. What does the rain sound like as it hits the pavement? So you you wrap all of that in this nice little paragraph about your character and the anecdote of him or her getting splashed, and maybe somebody else is there that they care about and they really don't want to be seen in this situation, you know. So you can start small. Any story begins with a paragraph. And a paragraph is 4 or 5 sentences, as you learned in school, but it can be more or less. You don't want to have run-on sentences, but you do want to convey the action. So basically, you just use what you learned in school about parts of speech, grammar, spelling, and all that, but you put it in a form like a potter with clay, and you're shaping this bundle of words into something pretty that pleases you, because you've got to please you first, right? Then once you've got it written, then you take a look at it and say, well, this excites me, but it's going to be boring to somebody else. What can I do to gussy it up? Maybe you've got a conflict. You got a character with a conflict, and they want to do something, but something is in their way, or someone. And you've got to have conflict to have a good story. So you just build it piece by piece. I usually start with the character. I get a rudimentary idea of what he or she looks like, what they're doing at the time. I usually write about females because I'm female. It's, um, I used to write some stories about guys, but I really don't enjoy them as much. I like, since I have had some unusual jobs. I was a taxi driver as a woman. I was a computer tech as a woman. These typically male jobs done by a female, and the things you run into that are different make a good story. So I often write about women in minority occupations. So there's that. But as far as getting back to my point about mental health in stories, it really makes you feel like you've lived this little piece of this character's life after you've written it, and you can actually get a physical sense of relief from it. I've experienced that many a time, that, you know, I get to writing and my frustrations just kind of go away. It doesn't solve my problems. I still have to sit down and figure out solutions to them. But if I'm upset about something and I can't do anything about it, I can't go back to the person who said something that offended me and undo that. But what I can do is I can write about a character saying what I wanted to say and how it turned out, and just kind of let the story play out and see what I can make of it. So I can take that negative experience and turn it into something positive that somebody might want to read someday. So there's a lot of ways to use writing, even if you never publish it, even if it is never shared with another human being. You can get your feelings out, and it's very therapeutic to write, period. So, I encourage you, if you have any interest in, any curiosity about writers and their, going off in their writer's closet to write a bunch of stuff, how that would feel, try it. You might enjoy it and you might become a writer. In fact, if you are writing anything, you are a writer. So if you've ever written anything in school, ta-da, you're already a writer. So, you know, it's a good thing, especially when you're handicapped. Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek. And you know how big a phenomenon Star Trek is. You know, even people who have never seen a Star Trek episode have heard about it or seen books about it, or, maybe they're wondering what all the hype is about. But Gene Roddenberry was a sickly kid, and he started writing as an escape from his physical infirmities. And because of that, millions of people around the world know what Star Trek is, and a lot of them, like me, are Star Trek fans. I've watched all the episodes, I love them. So, and I like rewatching them every once in a while because they're so good. And it's you know, Gene Roddenberry had a hard time selling Star Trek to network executives. This was back when we had three major networks, CBS, NBC, and ABC. And they were doing westerns. I can remember I was, let's see, was I 8 when Star Trek came out? 1966. Yeah, I was 8 years old. It was on my 8th birthday that we watched our first episode of Star Trek. And we were all like, oh, this is wonderful. I can't wait for the next week. And so, yeah, I mean, my sister was ready and waiting with a 3-inch reel to reel tape recorder, and she recorded Star Trek, that first episode, and all the episodes. She didn't have enough tapes to record them all and keep them, but we would replay them and put up with it. Was a battery powered tape recorder. So, as the batteries would get weaker and weaker during the hour episode, you'd have da, 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 the tape would drag. So it wasn't as pleasant as hearing it for the first time. And if you wanted to watch another episode, you had to wait until the season was over and the reruns came during the summer. So, yeah, there was that. No VCRs. No cell phones, no way to record a video. I mean, if you had, um, well, I was in college by the time Dad got his first Super 8, and let me tell you, the film was so expensive. We have 8 films that Dad made, and that's all he ever made because he said, "Oh, this is too expensive." And we were making movies without sound. So, yeah, I mean, it was a big deal. So, you know, I have heard about families that just made gobs and gobs of home movies. Well, my family wasn't like that because Dad was too worried about how much it cost. But in those days, it was a little different, watching TV, and a lot of in the 60s, a lot of shows were black and white, so it was really nice that Star Trek was color. So that's a little bit of trivia for you young folks. So, and I'm not going to go into, oh, life was harder in the 60s. I don't think it was any harder than what people are going through in 2021. you know, um, really, how hard life is in the eye of the beholder or the eye of the person experiencing whatever it is. So I'm not going to try to compare my experience to any living being's experience because it's all different and it's all relative. So there's that. But, you know, Gene Roddenberry had a dream of writing a series. He had already produced police shows and very good ones. Um, but he was thinking about a world where everybody's equal, where everybody has, you know, difficulties getting along between worlds and trying to welcome people who are very different into the Federation. And it was just a unique idea. You know, the ship had weapons, but it wasn't a mission of go in and by brute force take over territory. It was, we're gonna sit down and talk. If we have to use our weapons, we will, but we hope we don't have to. We're gonna go in and talk to people and welcome them into our little group. And it was really, you know, the diplomacy was the thing. And of course, Captain Kirk was interesting because he broke those rules a lot. But at the same time, he cared deeply about people and about, you know, um, what was good for a civilization and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it had very high ideals. And Star Wars is more of the go in and shoot 'em up kind of deal. There's not a lot of diplomacy going on there, but it's very entertaining, and I love Star Wars too. But I will always have the soft spot in my heart for Star Trek and the way of, you know, going in and trying to make peace. And so I do a lot of that in my writing. But my writing is not Star Trek, and I don't have any large ships going around having families and, um, you know, trying to right the wrongs in the universe. My world is more small ships, four-man ships that have a particular mission, and usually there's a diplomat in aid, and they are either negotiating a treaty or a trade agreement or something like that. And then I've got a biome tech and a biome engineer, and they are there to maintain the living computers that everybody uses. So I have that premise, and you know, I have that. I have people leaving Earth for various reasons. I have a situation on Earth where they had alien contact and they are trading tech, and life is changing on Earth. So um, there are a lot of facets to my universe. It's huge. I've been building it since I was 11 years old. So yeah, I've got a lot in there. But writing, no matter how big or involved or small or, you know, just starting out, your universe is. And you'll need a universe whether or not you write science fiction. Books have genres, and you probably have your favorite, whether it's romance, mystery, westerns, science fiction, or nonfiction, how to, or memoirs, or whatever your fancy is when you sit down to read, or not. If you would rather digest your stuff from watching a good movie, then you've got a lot to learn about writing. Um, Basically, you have to read a lot to be able to write stuff in a genre. You need to learn the ropes of your particular genre. You might say, well, I just want to write the great American novel. Well, yeah, a lot of us want to do that, but you know, there's even when you're writing about real life and just a basic story about someone who goes on a journey, or maybe they're at home and the journey is inside, whatever you're writing about, usually there is a genre. And if you don't have a genre and you're just writing a general feel-good type of story, there's room in the writing world for that too. I mean, anything you want to write. If you want to sit and write essays all day, you can do that. Writing is friendly. You can write about whatever is dear to your heart. And you can take that wherever you want to go with it. So, yeah, it's important. Um, and I realized that you've been staring at the screen and you can't see me. I want to have my little picture-in-picture there. Um, let's see. Well, anyway, I totally don't know how to do that. But, all right, so this is my Now What revision workbook, which is based on the Now What revision guide from Nanowrimo. And it is, let me get the link to it. I'll go back to the beginning. I wrote a novel, now what? That is what the Now What guide is all about. So, let's see if I can, the Now What page. And you can see the Now What workbook. And you can download it from this page, and I will put this page on the chat. Now you may be asking, what is Nano what? Oh, I can't do it there. I'm doing it here. All right. I'll just have to remember that this tab is for putting links. And Nanowrimo stands for National Novel Writing Month, which happens every November. But there is Camp Nanowrimo in April and July. So, what is Nanowrimo? Nanowrimo is a challenge every November. A bunch of us wannabe writers and authors and everybody else get together and write 50,000 words together. And it's not a collaborative project. You're writing your own 50,000 words, and you may share it with people and you may not. But basically, it's getting together for writing sprints, which is where you set a timer and you write for however long, and then you get a word count. And you just add that word count to your bucket until you hit 50,000 in 30 days. And it sounds like a daunting task, but to write 50,000 words, which is barely a novel, in 30 days, that is 1,667 words a day. You can write 1,667 words in about a couple of hours, maybe 3, maybe 4. Some people take longer. The premise of Nanowrimo is you don't try to write a polished novel that's ready to send to a publisher. Instead, you are writing 50,000 words, and it can be garbage. It doesn't matter. It's writing the 50,000 words that is the goal here. If you edit yourself too much, you're not going to make your goal. So you just have to write fast and furiously about whatever comes to mind. And then at the end of Nanowrimo, which is where I am at, you let your novel sit for a month. So the Now What workbook, here it is. So you look in here and there are all sorts of social media things that you can follow Nanowrimo for writer tips. Um, and So step one is you and your novel should take some time apart. So my nano novel, not just any orphan, is sitting on the back burner for a month so that I can get some distance and look at it more objectively. Because when you write something, it's my baby, I don't want to cut it up. But you really, when you go through the revision process, you've got to make some sacrifices. And what you think is great fiction may not be. On the other hand, you may write great fiction and call it garbage because you wrote it in a month. So you've got to have the middle ground. You can't think that your masterpiece is a masterpiece, but you can't think that it's total garbage either. You have to meet in the middle. So that's what Nanowrimo Now What is all about. So I am going through this. So step one is take a month off. Step two is, let me, that's my worksheets. Um, and I do plan to share these worksheets, but basically the Now What book has a bunch of, all right, there. Now I've got the right thing. Okay, so basically, um, each one of these steps has a lot of links where you can learn to be a better writer. So if you get this little thing downloaded and go through the steps, even if you don't have anything to revise, there are wonderful resources in this book to go to websites by authors, websites by people who teach writing at colleges. You can find all sorts of resources. And through this, you can make your writing better. Or what if you're at the point at, well, I got here too late. Uh-oh, it's December and Nanowrimo was over in November. What do I do? If you are interested in starting a writing project, you can start those anytime. And there are on the Nanowrimo website resources for you. Basically, here it is. There were 798,000 of us active novelists who completed 367,000 novels, almost 368,000. Now you might say, well, gosh, half of those people didn't even complete their novel. That's not the point. The point is that they started it. And it is a fun activity. And if you are one of those that started Nano and you didn't finish your Nano, maybe life got in your way. Maybe you had some crisis come and you had to deal with that. You couldn't take 2 hours out of your day to write. That's okay. It's fine. Nobody is going to come to you and say, well, hey, you didn't finish your nano. You're a terrible writer. You should quit. No, 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 no. Don't even think that, because it's important that you tried. Okay? And Nanowrimo has a young writers program. So if you're a young person, you're not 18 yet, you can get in the Young Writers program and learn a lot about writing. You have to write for school anyway. Why not do some writing for fun and enjoy it? So you can get a lot of encouragement from folks that are also doing Nanowrimo. And so if you're too late for Nano, you can still start a story, a novel, a whatever. You can get your feet wet. And on the Nanowrimo website, there's all sorts of resources. First thing you do is you have to sign up, and you just give it that, and I've already signed up. So I would show you the site, but right now I'm locked out of it. I've got to do some troubleshooting. I had two accounts and I asked them to combine them, so I think they did. So, yeah, I have to fix that. Websites and passwords are the bane of my existence. I have so much trouble with that. But anyway, so a very good website. You know, I have heard a lot about the Snowflake method of designing a novel, but I didn't learn that much about it until I went to this website, and it was recommended from Nanowrimo. So, hey, you find a lot of things that are really, really important to your writing. So, Snowflake Method, I highly recommend it. It makes designing a novel easy. So that is what I'm working on. So I have copied a whole bunch of stuff into this document, not just the now what, but a lot of the sources that I learned about through this and from other places. So, that's what I'm working on. And I am in Scrivener. If you're not familiar with Scrivener, it's a wonderful software. I will show you my 80th scientist. Let's see, have I got it up? And I've got all these windows up. I've got my Streamlabs desktop. I've got my social media thing. I've got my YouTube live streamed there. I've got how to write a novel using Snowflake, and I've got this wonderful search engine for writers. It's got everything in it, and the link to it is in the Now What. So I've got all sorts of stuff. I don't need to have that up. So anyway, I don't really, let's see how fast my computer is right now. All right. I'm going to do a speed test. I'm on cable. I use Spectrum. Let's see how fast my internet is right now. Well, it's doing something. For 3 days, it wasn't doing anything. All right. All right. 12 from 18 streams failed to start. So, computer problems have been helping me stay busy, trying to get my brand new computer to work because I got Windows 11. Big mistake. If you are considering getting Windows 11 as your only operating system, I suggest don't do it. Yep. All right, so overall I got an A, and the quality is A+. Well, Spectrum's pretty good, but buffer bloat, this is the thing. It's This test needs a modern, recent browser. If it hangs under Windows, please temporarily disable any browser extensions or security software. So, I do have several extensions on Edge. I don't like Edge. I like Chrome, but anyway. So, all right. So, if you look up Snowflake Method on the Writer's Knowledge Base, and I will put this here. Well, what I want is just this. Why is this window so tiny? You know, it would be nice if it was bigger. Anyway, I will. Okay, I will put this in there. Oh, I'm already logged in. Okay. Templates, articles, all sorts of resources for writers. And this database has a lot of stuff. So it's got all sorts of stuff. So say I want to write the perfect hook. That's the little one sentence thing that I was calling a blurb, but that's not really accurate. How to narrow down your novel into one sentence. It is hard to do, but let's see, there's all sorts of stuff. Let's keep looking, because does your manuscript have a good hook? Let's see what they have to say. So this resource is just like the Encyclopedia of Writing. It has a whole bunch of sites that want you to spend money on their writing or editing or agenting skills, but they have a lot of free resources on them too. So let's see here. Publish well. Let's see. Well, that's not a link. All right. Well, it's not what I thought. Well, sometimes you don't get what you expected. All right, let's try. Let's see. Query writing. Yeah, that's probably a good place to start to get that little one sentence hook. Oh my. Yes, always translate pages from Turkish. Okay. That's not exactly what I was looking for. Oh. Okay. Well, that totally didn't go to the right page. So there's that. But how to write good jacket copy. Let's see if this is going to go through. You just have to be careful. And I probably shouldn't have even bothered to translate that. Okay, this is, and I'm self-publishing, so I'm more interested in that. I have sent a lot of stuff to editors and been rejected a bunch of times. I have a stack of rejection letters. Um, Needless to say, I finally decided if my book was going to see print, I was going to need to do it myself. So I am self-published. Getting a book sold to a traditional publisher is kind of like winning the lottery. So there's that. Okay, so understand your key selling points, craft your hook, flesh out your description, and show your authority. Okay. Having a feel for what makes your plot compelling and unique in the market. I'm totally not up with marketing. Okay. So, if your life depended on selling just one copy of your book, what would you say? Then craft your hook. You have about 7 lines to work with, so you really need to make it count. Okay. When opening conflict happens to characters, they have overcome conflict to complete quest. This is cool. This is really neat. Okay. Flesh out your... This is really neat. This is really neat. Okay. And here's some examples of good jacket copy. That's a lot more than 7 lines, but it's good. Cool. So, anyway, I'm going to add this to my writing tips folder. And let's move on. So, That's just, and most of the sites are good. There's just, every once in a while, and it's going to happen during my live stream, that you get a rogue site. But most of the time, these are um, good sites. So, anyway, back to this. So, and I love Writer's Digest. I got this copy editing checklist from them. Writer's Digest is one of my go-to sites. This, when I was sending things off to traditional publishers, I would go to the library and look for the latest copy of the Writer's Market, which Writer's Digest puts out. And I would get the address and the guidelines, which are most important. If you're going to send a short story to the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, or another major magazine that publishes short stories, you need to know how long will they accept, because the longer the story, the less room they have in their magazine, and the very less likely yours is going to be picked for a future issue. So definitely, there's this is really cool as far as if you're writing fiction or nonfiction. They've got sources for you, poetry, if you want to get published with a traditional publisher, or if you want to do like I did and go over to Kindle Direct Publishing, or another place that publishes fiction, that you do it yourself. So all sorts of things, self-publishing. Let's see what they have to say. There's all sorts of things about finding and engaging your audience, and breaking into the traditional publishing world, and all sorts of stuff. So, there are wonderful resources. I like all the articles they have on writing better fiction. And there's all sorts of things to learn about writing. Mozart, as talented as he was as a composer of fine music, he said near his death that he was still learning about music. And I think that goes for any area of expertise, whether you are writing, drawing, doing 3D art, writing a novel, writing a flash fiction, writing fan fiction. If you are mowing a lawn, there's more things to learn about mowing a lawn. If you want to make pretty patterns in your lawn, then, it's more than just cranking up the lawnmower and going row by row like people usually do. So, whatever your creative endeavor, there's always going to be things to learn. So, I will put Writer's Digest here. In fact, I'm going to go to the home page and get the main one. And put that in. Oh, this one. It's a magazine for writers. with good advice. Okay, so it's 9:21. I guess I'm going to end a little early. Let me put it back on the webcam. Oh. Oh dear. I don't know how to make it on me now. Oh. Let's see. I took Pandora out of the box and don't know how to put her back in. Anyway, I guess that we are looking at my screen here. I wanted to have the camera on me, but I don't know how to do this. Let's see. Video capture device. Oh, I don't know how to make it do. I'm going to learn how to do this software, but it's not going to be tonight. But until my next stream, which will be Friday night, y'all have a good night, and I hope I taught you something about writing. And oh, I ought to show you my latest picture. See if I can go there. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. I did Elshar Heiska on View tonight. That's my latest render. So I wanted to put that up there. This is a world that is populated by Elshars. They look like us, but their blue eyes go light or dark depending on their mood. And this is a scene of Cindy Prov on Elshar Heiska. It's a lush farming world, and Cindy is on a big lake, and it has a lot of farms. And one feature about it that people love is to run barefoot through this stuff. It's called the Dias Marcu. It's a bunch of little flowers that is very, very soft, and it's fun to run through if you're a kid or if you're a grown-up too. So I will probably write a scene about it. Well, I have, but that's not the project I'm working on. Right now, I'm working on 80 a Scientist. Yes, it is in print, it's on Amazon, but I'm trying to make it better. So I am going through and working on it. And so I'll be working on characters tonight, writing all these little character summaries for step 3 of the Snowflake Method. And I wish you luck in your writing if you decide to write, or if you're currently writing. And if you're not writing, I encourage you to try it. You know, a lot of times people get in therapy and the therapist will recommend writing about what bothers you. It's very therapeutic. So, you know, in the meantime, I will wish you a pleasant evening, and I will be back Friday night. And until then, stay safe and healthy, and um, don't let, if you've got disabilities, if you're the one of 4 Americans with disabilities, I encourage you to, you know, don't let your can't list get you down. Worry about what you can do. So this is Granny Handicap saying have a good night and see you